having a little special gathering to talk about grassroots of democracy, what we are going to do moving forward. So we're not doing readings or anything. We're just here to talk about grassroots of democracy. I put grassroots of democracy on a hiatus 2 or 3 weeks before the election. I received guidance that my work was complete, and now I'm taking that to mean that phase of the work was complete. So I have my iPad here. I'm going to take notes. This is a brainstorming session. You're ready to continue the resistance. Very good. That's why we're here. So I'll just tell people as they show up that we're not doing readings right now. We're just going to talk about grassroots of democracy and just a little bit of history about when I started grassroots of democracy in January of 2022. The way it all got started was in 2022. I was hearing Rachel Maddow, and prior to that also, it was Rachel Maddow that got me going, because she kept on reporting really dire news stories about what was going on in our country and our government. Thank you, Michael. And every time I turned off the news, I was in a panic. This is 2022. And I didn't like that feeling. I've been an activist my entire life, and I thought there's something really wrong here, where I'm hearing about the news, but I'm not hearing about what to do about it, to fix problems that we're having. So from there, I decided to start an organization called Grassroots of Democracy. And it is, oh, thank you, Warren. It's still there. The website's still there. My song, We Won't Be Backing Down, is still there. grassrootsofdemocracy.com. It's all still there. It's just that we hit the pause for, it was like a few weeks before the election. So there were a few things that led up to that decision that I made to just give it a rest. And we'll get into that in a minute. But the purpose of Grassroots of Democracy was to take the negative news we were hearing and take a proactive trajectory, take the news and then do something about the news that we were hearing. So it was January 2022. I got my helper at that time to build a website. He built a website. He since had too much going on and couldn't continue to help me, and that's when Terry came in to help. And then she was getting ready to finish up by the end of the year, and that got abbreviated because of financial reasons, concerns that I was having, had to cut back. So a few things that I've learned about just the psyche in America. And one is that, and I've known this my whole life that I've been an activist. One is that there's a prevailing consciousness in America of, and I think we come by it honestly. We take democracy for granted, and we figure that somebody else is handling it, whatever it might be, some issue. This is just a general sense of America. And oftentimes somebody else isn't handling whatever the issue might be, but we kind of go around in this country with this idea that, oh, well, it'll get handled. I'm busy, right? Not anymore, Dale is saying. That's why I'm rebooting. And the other thing is that people don't really understand how our democracy works. And civics was taken out of the classroom, which is really the beginning of the demise of our democracy when it comes to it not being as strong as it should be. So it's complicated. So then we got a book called, if anybody has it, I'm looking on my shelf to see if it's there. We got a book that was like the basics of democracy. Anybody who came to our meetings, If you remember the name of that book, it was a fun book that taught us about democracy. And for a little while, we were doing little civics lessons during our Grassroots of Democracy meetings. We were meeting on Tuesdays for a guided meditation for a Healed America. We were meeting every Thursday for a discussion group. This was on Zoom. They were both on Zoom. And we were meeting on Saturdays for a work session where we'd meet for 90 minutes and behave as if we were at the library in the old days, and or study hall. And we would get together, we would talk about things that needed to be addressed, emails, postcards, keeping up with what the news was. So on the Saturday session, during the Saturday session, we just got together and we worked together on what needed to be done, the tasks to save our democracy. And of course, all this was leading up to the 2024 election. And I want to just say hats off to everybody in this community that came to Grassroots of Democracy meetings, and everyone in the extended community in America who have really risen to the task to save our democracy from fascism. I really hope that everybody who's worked really hard, like the Simon Rosenbergs and the Mark Eliases, and and we're still meeting, we're still getting together. It hasn't ended. If anything, what's really happened is the importance of the work is really amped up to the nth degree right now. After several months went by, and I was noticing, even though I mentioned it every single PNN, please join us at Grassroots of Democracy, please join us. Even though I was doing all that, it plateaued. And we had the same people every time. We had like a group of 5 or 6 people. We have over 400, almost 500 people on our email list. I was writing newsletters. I was writing the articles that eventually ended up being on Substack. So I was writing newsletters Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and with a Zoom invite, and everybody was receiving that. And about 500 people, nearly 500 people on our Grassroots of Democracy email list. And we had a total average of about 6, 7 people that showed up at the meetings. And when that plateaued out and it was no new people, like the middle of this year, no new people, at a certain point, I admit, I had a short fuse. And I got to a point, right, when Obama first started to campaign for Kamala, it was right around that point in October, I dropped it. I dropped the whole thing. And I apologize to anybody who felt hurt by that, but I dropped the whole thing. I figured we had done our work, that we could sort of coast from a few weeks ago to Election Day. And we believe that Kamala had it in the bag, because I'm going to stick by what I'm saying. Kamala did win that election. And it's not over yet. So, fast forward to now, and now I see the job has changed. Now I see the task at hand to save our democracy has definitely changed. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up, those of you who are. So, as you can see, we're not meeting on Zoom. I've found that I can reach more people if I just do a live stream. And I can communicate. I'm on my phone right now because I can see a lot better if I'm just live streaming on my phone. Oh, thank you for putting the website up. You can go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com, and my song, We Won't Be Backing Down, is there. And I think that song right now this is even a more important time for that message to be out there. So you can do that. You can share that song. You can still sign up for the email list. I still have that email list, of course. Nothing went away, it's just we stopped meeting. That song is public domain. I'm not getting any royalties, nor am I looking for any money for that song. It's my civic duty to offer up my voice, my talents to spread a very important message. Now more than ever, it's really, really important. So, the election happened. It's a very suspicious situation for many good reasons, and many reasons that we already have the news about. Next, you get rid of your governor. Who's your governor? Are you in Florida? Yeah, you must be talking about DeSantis. I think you're in Florida, right? We have a lot of work to do. The game has changed. What we're going to do is, I haven't figured out the details. I'm not a fan of Zoom. I don't like the delay on Zoom. I don't like people not knowing when to talk. But most of all, what I don't like on Zoom is when people don't talk. I mean to Satan, right? So we may just do it like this once a week or something like that. I'm still deciding. The job has changed. The job for grassroots of democracy has changed. It's definitely shifted. And right now, at the current time, I feel like the job that we need to do is to get very loud about the suspicious nature of this election. The suspicious nature, just to make a few bullet points about that. How on God's earth did the election results come in on Tuesday night or Wednesday, the wee hours of the morning? How is that possible? We're going to be addressing that. We're going to be writing to our representatives about that. Bullet point number 2. Why was Elon in correspondence with Vladimir Putin, along with Trump being in correspondence with Vladimir Putin, around this election time? Why was Elon offering $1 million to get people's data? Why was Elon offering $1 million to get people's data? How'd the results come in so quickly? Let's get loud, right? The J-Lo song. The evidence is right there, right? How also is it that people in our country who have records of just being brilliant, genius data watchers and calculators and tabulators, and how is it that all the ones that always got it right, suddenly they were wrong? The Simon Rosenbergs and the, was it Lichtman? Several notable, reputable, Alan Lichtman, yes. That you could just, the news, they would go to them like, that guy always gets it right. So there was that about the actual election. How is it, bullet point number 3, question marks all over the place. How is it that we observed the demise of Donald Trump's mental health condition to the point of him talking about Arnold Palmer's junk, the deceased late great Arnold Palmer, where he mocked oral sex with a man with a microphone, and one of his final acts before the election was to dress up like a garbage man and have a garbage truck with a huge Trump banner on it, appropriate, and we saw him losing his balance and staggering. I thought it was exhaustion before he got into the garbage truck. He was talking about Hannibal Lecter repeatedly, every time. He was issuing stochastic terrorist threats. He was inciting violence. And we don't even have to get into this man having a rap sheet so long that I don't know any other person in world history, that's committed that many crimes. And at his rallies, several weeks prior to the election, at Donald Trump's rallies, they were having trouble filling very small venues. They had, people were walking out. And by the way, I believe, I don't have proof, but I do psychically believe and felt very strongly that people were paid to attend his rallies. And he made no sense. How is it that Donald Trump at the hate rally at Madison Square Garden, how is it that he went, oh, Mike Johnson, we have a little secret? How is it that that happened? There's more. Kamala Harris was bringing in huge, thunderous crowds everywhere she went. She raised $1 billion in 3 months. She had an impeccable campaign. It was perfect. There was not a hitch anywhere. It was an excellent, excellent campaign. We were feeling good. We were feeling confident. They went back to the swing states so many times I couldn't even count. It couldn't have been run any better. There's no way. In the meantime, we see Donald Trump not able to make even any sense and not releasing his medical records when there's clearly something not okay with his health. So I'm giving you the bullet points about how this election doesn't make any sense. We had hope and joy at the DNC. And I tell people, go back and watch all those rallies and watch the DNC and watch all that amazing energy. To me, it was like a big miracle. It was incredible. All of us. And that DNC was one for the history books. And Trump, failing health, failing mental condition, clearly showing signs of at least early onset of dementia, diagnosed by how many, just, informally diagnosed by psychologists and psychiatrists everywhere. I'm looking at the book right now, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, which was written a few years ago. Again and again and again, repeatedly, psychiatrists, psychologists that have been in the field, career doctors, telling us all how dangerous he was because he's mentally unfit. How is it that Bob Woodward cited in his book War that Trump was on the phone with Putin 7 times reportedly, and there's a lot more than 7 times if you ask me, after he left office, which is a violation of the Logan Act? How is it that Donald Trump won this election? And there are more points, but that's enough points for now to tell you the grassroots of democracy has work to do. Because this election is highly, highly suspect. And he is Putin's puppet, and it's glaringly obvious. And just not for anything, but look at how obvious it is. Putin's over there gloating to Russia. And let's not get too afraid about this, but I want you to know that Vladimir Putin's dream is to own America. Yeah, Elon helped him to cheat in the election. So there's more. I'm just giving you my points about how this election is highly, highly suspect. And so at Grassroots of Democracy, it's critically important that we address this. So here's what I think is the most important thing that we do. And maybe I'll turn Grassroots of Democracy for now into a weekly Thursday evening meeting like we used to have on Zoom, where we talk about, and we put in the chat, this is the progress that I've made. And you can share this. You can share this information. I'm really surprised that people are asking, are they investigating this? Of course they are. I think what I'll do is do a Thursday night, maybe a half an hour meeting, longer if need be, where we check in And I think for this week's assignment, we'll have assignments. Yeah, of course it's being investigated. It's highly, highly suspect. And these nefarious connections, these very dangerous connections have been going on for a very long time. I think we should start with, this is my suggestion, and you can add suggestions if you want, that we make a commitment with ourselves and with the group here, that what we're going to do this week is send as many emails and make as many phone calls as possible. We can turn it into a contest. As many representatives as possible in our government, contact them and say, we the people demand answers. And if you need a template, for that, I'm a pretty good writer. I'm writing all the time these days. Yeah, Joe gave the aura that he's got it all together. Yeah, and just I'm grateful that I'm a psychic because there's a lot of good, I'll just say good things that are happening that I'm glad they're happening right now. So how about, oh yeah, I like my wellness check-ins at 11 a.m. too. Thanks. How about we do that? How about this week we take on that we, as a group, this is our grassroots of democracy right now, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And we will do that starting tomorrow. And I know a lot of you have said that you've already started contacting, and I mean contact everybody. Contact all of the representatives possible. Okay? I just said contact there's no reason whatsoever that you can't contact every representative possible. They don't have to be just in your state. There's no, I mean, you might not be able to email them from their website, from their form, because usually it's, if you're from a different state, they say you can't really send any correspondence here. But you can send a letter, you can send a snail mail letter, or you can call their office. Yes, if you miss the live, you'll be able to watch it later, sure, because this is just like a PNN. No worries if you're late. So this is how we're going to do it from now on. And when there's an opportunity or a need for more meetings than one a week, then we'll do that. We'll do what's needed. The best way to contact them is to go, somebody said, somebody's asking that question, and maybe in the chat tonight, that what they did, and I thought this was a really good idea, was they went back and they looked up the DNC in, was it July? No, it was August. In August. It was a power day astrologically. We just found that out. Thank you, Sharon, for putting my contact info up. And they watched the DNC and just wrote down all the representatives' names that were at the DNC. That's one way to do it. It's easy to find lists of representatives if you just Google it. It's easy to find representatives in Congress. Just Google it. So let's do that. Let's start there. And if you have something to write on, let's just put some important items that you want to put in the email. You're going to contact representatives from New Jersey. Now, the other thing is, you can get other people in your community to do the same thing. Imagine how it will be if we here and all of you there, if all of us, wherever we live, if we engage our community in this exercise. How awesome would that be? And then you have an entire community sending messages to all the representatives in the country. And when they receive hundreds upon hundreds of correspondences about we, the people, demand an intense investigation about what happened. We demand an investigation. We are a democracy, and our voices and our voices must be heard, and our votes must be counted. And furthermore, we did not sign up for fascism. You can put that in there too. You can put in there that you want them to investigate Trump and Elon Musk's connections to Vladimir Putin. You want to demand a recount. Okay? I'm doing the best that I can, Kelly. Thank you. Yeah, the White House has a communication site to leave messages. Imagine if you are all in on democracy. Imagine if you work for the government and you're a Democrat. You love democracy. There may be some Republicans left that love democracy. And you want these anti-democratic forces extracted from our government because they're destroying our country. They're hell-bent on making sure they burn it to the ground, and they're working for Putin. So you can put that in your email too if you want. Michael needs Thomas needs a pre-written letter or email. You're making me work over here. I'll do what I can. Yeah, and other people can do that too. So, I'm just joking. I've pretty much taken on that this is part of my purpose, apparently. Just show up. I know that I can go to Salem and Seth Moulton is there. I can just go right to his office. So there may be, I could go to Boston too. So there may be opportunities for you to contact in person. If you don't want to make it complicated, you could just say, I believe the results of the election are highly suspect. And I urge you, and this is a very important matter, to get on it. So, yeah, or someone else who's good at writing can come up with a template. Yeah, and if you want to, I will. That's not a big deal. I was kind of just joking. I can give you a template too. They're activists on Blue Sky. Good. And people are, the really, really, really good news. And there is a lot of good news. And the good news is that people are really coming together. And they already were coming together. Right? They already were coming together. I know, just having Grassroots of Democracy, and we're still here. How many pro-democracy organizations are out there that got birthed because of all this horribleness? So many. So I don't think you should give evidence. That's not what I'm asking, Amanda. What I'm asking is that you're asking for an investigation. You're telling your representatives, write to Seth Moulton. You're local. You're telling these representatives how you feel. Okay? There's many pro-democracy groups out there. I know that Simon Rosenberg is reconvening his group. It's not like we fell apart and disassembled. We just kind of hit the pause. For me, it was a couple weeks before the election. For Simon Rosenberg and others, it was after the election. We just have to get our bearings because the game has changed. Yeah, that's a good thing to make people really revved up. Your tax dollars are paying Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Trader Green, Jim Jordan, James Comer, Tommy Tuberville, what's his name, Ted Cruz. Did Ted Cruz lose? I didn't even know. I really stopped following it. I'm aware of what's going on, but you know what I mean? Your tax dollars are going to these vile human beings. There's no other way to describe them. They are lower than low in terms of no dignity, no respect, no caring, no kindness, no compassion. They are criminal. They're criminals. Yeah, Cruz won. Well, that's highly suspect. Highly suspect. Oh, it's the User's Guide to Democracy. Warren, I was trying to remember the name of that. Harris won and Colin Allred won too. There's no way. And just speaking of that, yeah, they're evil. Speaking of that, I just want to mention one thing about Ted Cruz. During that debate, that Colin Allred owned Ted Cruz during that debate. During that debate, what did Ted Cruz do? He stood there and he left. That's pretty suspect, right? He left. And, you know, we're done with the little MAGA Mike Johnson smirks and all that. We're done with that. We're done with that. Okay? That's why we're here. We're in it to win it because we won it. We're in it to make sure that a fascist, violent dictator, sociopathic, malignant narcissist, criminal who's a treasonous, insurrectionist, seditionist, and he's committed espionage. We're done with any idea whatsoever that he will set foot in our sacred people's house and destroy everybody's life. We are done. We are not that stupid. They're stupid. We're not. Yeah, you can look up representatives online. So that's the assignment. Does anybody have any questions about the assignment? I feel like I'm on Mission Impossible. The tape is going to burn after I close the vid. Ted Cruz did not win that. Texas is so corrupt. Yeah, I'll draw up a template, but you can write your own, and we can have a contest. Whoever writes to the most representatives, whoever reaches out and contacts the most representatives wins. You got to be honest, but maybe you win a free reading. Okay? There was tons of voter suppression. There was tons of tech shenanigans going on. There was tons of interference by enemy countries, not just Russia, but primarily Russia. Win a tray of manicotti. Perhaps. Okay? So let us go forth. Let us be true patriots. Let us remember our founding fathers. Go listen to Hamilton. Go listen to Hamilton. Go listen to something that makes you feel inspired to be an American. And we'll meet again. I'll see you. So this has been a Grassroots of Democracy meeting. And we'll do it again next Thursday at 7, but I'll see you plenty of times in between. Every morning at 11 a.m. I'm doing kind of a check-in to see how everybody's doing. So particularly so that people are alone, don't feel so alone. If anybody's struggling with suicidal ideation, please send me an email so we can talk for 10 minutes. And the suicide hotline, the number is 988 if anybody's really struggling, or if you know anybody that's really struggling. Okay? Rose likes this format better. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Zoom is hard. Zoom has that delay and everything. It's really hard. Okay. Thank you. See you in the morning at 11, and tomorrow's Friday, so we have PNN tomorrow night, and the full moon hits tomorrow at 4:24, something like that, Eastern time. It's going to be a doozy. Everybody, check yourself before you lash out, because it's that kind of energy right now. All right. I love you all. See you in the morning. Yeah, join me for my check-in. Please share my videos, and book a session so I can keep going and keep paying my bills. PsychicAnnetteDion.com. But not just for that, because a reading is an excellent thing. All right. Love you all. I'll see you soon. Namaste. Thanks for coming.